welcome back to my channel. I hope that you're doing well. Welcome to another video and welcome back to another Seasonathon announcement. Y'all, I am so excited to be sharing yet another Seasonathon announcement, and I'm honestly so blessed. This is my first full year of doing Seasonathons with Clint and Mel. They invited me on last year during the Merry Bookmas readathon, and now we've come full circle and I have been participating for a full year, and it has been such a blast. I'm so happy to be part of the team, and I absolutely love Clint and Mel so much, and I'm just so honored to be able to co-host a readathon with them. But if you guys have been around for a little while, you know that the Seasonathon is a readathon that we host every season: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And this time it's time for our winter Seasonathon, which of course is Merry Bookmas. I love Christmas time. It's my favorite time of the year. It just brings so much joy and happiness into my life. And to be hosting an awesome readathon right around that time is just, there's nothing better. We are so excited to share all of the fun and crazy stuff that we have going on for this Seasonathon, and it's going to be a blast. So without further ado, let's get into the details, and then of course I'll do some recommendations for all 12 of the prompts that are going to be going on this month. So for the Merry Bookmas, it is hosted from December 1st all the way to December 31st. So you have a month to read 12 prompts. Indeed, 12. We do 12 for this round just because it is a month-long readathon. However, per usual, you can always double up, triple up on prompts. You do not have to read 12 books for all 12 prompts. This readathon is just built so that you can have some fun, interact with us, interact with everyone else that's participating in the readathon, and just have some fun prompts to read during the month of December. As always, we like to step it up every Seasonathon, so we do have some fun stuff coming your way, but stay tuned for the end to hear more about that. Everything that is going to be hosted in regards to live shows or anything like that is going to be hosted on Mel's channel, Completely Melanie. So I will leave all of their information down below. But if you aren't already following Clint and Mel, make sure to go do that. I will leave all of their information down in the description box below. Go show them some love. But without further ado, let's get into the nitty-gritty and talk about the prompts for this readathon. So this time we decided to take a little bit of a different route for the prompts, and instead of doing song-themed prompts, we're going to be doing tropes. So this year's theme for Merry Bookmas is the 12 tropes of Bookmas. I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun, and there's so many things that you can do with these prompts, so many ways to interpret it, and it's going to be such a blast to see what you guys pick for the prompts. So kicking this off with our first trope of Bookmas, that is going to be the Chosen One trope. It's a very popular trope, one that was used, I feel like, a lot more in the 2000s than it is used today. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that was a very popular trope to use back in the day. But I do have some newer books as well as some older classic books that I feel like fit this trope perfectly, and I have some recommendations for you. And just like every time I do recommendations, you guys don't have to read just these books. These are just a way to help you get some recommendations, some ideas to help fill the tropes if you don't know exactly what you're looking forward to reading. And all of the videos that are going out today in regards to announcement videos will have some different recommendations for you. So if you don't like the ones that I recommend, make sure to go check out Mel and Clint's videos to get more recommendations. But the first one that I have is a newer book that I absolutely adored, and I think that it's such a well-done book, and that is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I think this is a fantastic option for Chosen One trope. This one definitely has a lot of representation and has a really cool spin on the Arthurian legend, so if you are looking for something like that, I would definitely recommend this one. We're throwing it way back, but if you haven't caught up with these books and you would like to watch the TV show, now's the perfect time to read The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. Yes, this is a chunky book. However, this does have the Chosen One trope involved in the plotline, so I think this could be a good option for you. I know, like myself, I'm really trying to read this book before the TV shows comes out so I can watch at least some of it, but who knows. But if you're looking for that extra push, this is a great option for you. Again, another classic book that I feel like definitely fits this trope well is The Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings books by J.R.R. Tolkien. I would probably prefer to recommend the Lord of the Rings over The Hobbit, but I don't own that one, so I figured I would just give this one as an option. If you wanted to go back and read a classic fantasy and you don't want to do something as chunky as The Eye of the World, this is definitely an option for you. And lastly, again, we're going to throw it back with a classic Chosen One trope, and that is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. Well, this is a Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, but the entire series is the Chosen One trope. I love this series so much. It is definitely a nostalgic series for me, and every time I think about it, it just brings me so much joy. So if you're looking for a quick, easy read that's going to take you back and bring that nostalgic value, definitely recommend this. Or if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. It's a fantastic middle grade that I think everybody should read at least once. Up next, we have the trope Second Chance. Now, I think that for this, you can interpret it a little bit of different ways. I know that for me, when I hear second chance, I think second chance romance. However, there's a lot of different options for you. I'm going to be giving you some different recommendations, but for the ones that I didn't have recommendations for, you can do a second chance at becoming a parent or being involved in your child's life. You could do, I don't know, like second chance of enacting revenge on somebody that you have been looking to do so for so long. There's so many options in regards to second chance tropes, so don't limit yourself just to romance, but I do have some recommendations here for you. The first one that I'm going to do is Sweet and Bitter Magic by Adrienne Tooley. Yes, this is a romance, but I'm not doing this recommendation in regards to a second chance romance. For me, this is more of a second chance at redemption, a second chance at proving your worth. This book definitely follows a witch who has been outcast from her world, and she's really trying to get back to where she once was, and I think that's a good option for second chance. Okay, we're gonna for sure do a second chance romance, and for this I'm gonna do People We Meet on Vacation. Some people would recommend this as a friends to lovers, but I think this definitely, for me, hits the box of second chance romance. I think that it's a fantastic option if you are looking for something light and fluffy. This definitely gives me more summer vibes, but if you are looking for a romance, I highly recommend this one. Then we're going to do a second chance friendship, and we're going to do Perfect on Paper by Sophie Gonzalez. If you didn't get a chance to participate in the Fall Into Readathon and you wanted to read this one, this was our group book for last Seasonathon, I would definitely recommend this one. It's one of my favorite books that tackles LGBTQI plus topics. I think it was a fantastic book, so well written. Sophie Gonzalez is a fantastic person. I loved chatting with her during our live show, and this is definitely one that I would recommend for second chance friendship. And this one is a bit of a stretch, but I'm telling you, if you just don't have anything, you can't think of anything that you want to read, you could do Second Chance by James Patterson. It says it in the title. I'm guessing they're going to get a second chance. So if this is something that you're interested in, maybe you want to read the first and second book in this series. It is a number series, so First to Die, Second Chance, and so on and so forth. I think right now Patterson is up to like 21 or something like that. So lots of books to read in this series, but if you are out of options, this is definitely one for you. Up next, we have Bookception, and that is, of course, to read a book about a book or a book within a book, anything that has to do with a bookish type book. There are obviously a ton of options for these. For some reason, when I was looking to put this list together, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to recommend, but I do have 4 books that I think that would be really great for this particular trope, and I feel like it's a lot of different options depending on what you like. So the first one that I'm going to recommend is actually a graphic novel. This is The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. This one is a very fantastic graphic novel about coming out and coming into your own and self-acceptance, but it also includes a fairy tale woven into the story, narrated by the main character, and it kind of changes in regards to the color ways. So the actual fairy tales are told in that blue color, and then the main story is told in that pink color. So it is a really cool option if you're looking for a shorter book to read during this time. Highly recommended. It was a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Then one that I just couldn't help but recommend, and that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I read The Night Circus earlier this year and really loved it. I have read about half of this book and really enjoyed it. I ended up having to give it back to the library, and I just haven't gotten back around to it since, but this is definitely a book about a book. This follows a boy who finds a book in a library that narrates some of his own life, and then he goes on a journey to figure out how it connects to him, and there's a much bigger plot to that, but this is definitely one if you're looking for a good bookish book. Definitely couldn't go on without recommending one of these books, and that is Crazy Stupid Romance by Lisa K. Adams. The entire Bromance Book Club series is a bookish book series, and it's a fantastic romance series nonetheless. I have read books 1 and 2 and really enjoyed both of them. I think that they are a fun time all together, but if you are looking for a nice fluffy read for this time, I would definitely recommend this one. And finally, we have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. If you're still in that spooky, ominous feels, you can definitely read this one. This one includes transcripts from the main character's father's book about the house they lived in for 20 days before fleeing in the middle of the night. It is a really cool option, and it's definitely one that will keep you on your toes. Okay, up next we have Friends to Lovers / Enemies to Lovers. Now, we did combine the prompts just because I know that not a ton of people love to read romance, and so giving you one singular prompt that has to do just strictly with a romance plotline makes it a little bit easier than trying to participate in 2 of them. So I am giving you some options for some fantasy romance in case you don't want to do a strict romance centered book, but there are some options in case you're looking out there and you don't want to read a strict romance. So the first one that I'm going to recommend is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is definitely an option if you don't want to read a strict romance, because this definitely does follow more of a fantasy plotline with some romance mixed in. I think this is a great option for you if you are looking for that. I didn't love this book 100%, but I think it is a good classic fantasy, and if you haven't watched the TV show yet, I definitely recommend reading the book. Up next, we have one of my favorite books of all time, and that is Wolf Song by T.J. Klune. This is definitely a friends to lovers, and it's so sweet and so wholesome and so cute. Clint dies hard for this book, and so do I now. We are currently in the process of a read-along for this book series, so I'm so excited for this entire series, but this one is definitely one that you could read for friends to lovers. Okay, now we're moving on to enemies to lovers, and you can definitely do these Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. I don't know too much about this actual book because I haven't read it yet, but I know that the person is sent to steal the fairy king's heart, the fairy prince's heart, and then they end up falling in love instead. So definitely enemies to lovers, and it definitely gives me fall vibes. I love this exclusive edition. I believe this is an Illuma crate, or maybe a Fairy Loot special edition. Fairy Loot. But well done, and I'm really excited to get to this one. And then my all-time favorite enemies to lovers, Hate by Tate James, the first book in the Madison Kate series. The entire series is a hate to love series. It is a reverse harem. I have shouted from the rooftops about this book so many times, and I highly, highly recommend it. As you can see, I do be loving it. So if you haven't already taken my recommendation and you haven't read this book yet and you like romance, please do it. You won't be disappointed. The next trope that we have here is small towns. And this one I had a bit of an issue getting as well, because I feel like I read a lot of like urban fantasies, or like for me, I don't associate fantasies with small towns, so it was a little bit hard for me to pick this one, so hopefully these recommendations are helpful for you as well. But the first one that I have is a book that I recently just read and absolutely loved, and that is The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. This is an urban fantasy setting book. However, I found this gave me small town vibes because it isn't in a school setting, but the school is very vast and large, and this character kind of lives on her own in this little cottage, and it definitely gave me small town vibes. So if you can't find a book that you want to read that is necessarily set in a small town, you can definitely read a book that gives you small town vibes, and this is definitely an option for that. Another one that I would recommend, one that I haven't read, but most cozy mysteries are set in small towns, and I know that Joanne Fluke does set her cozy mysteries in small towns, so I think this is an option for you. Again, if you are looking for a light, fluffy, easy read, I would recommend maybe a cozy mystery because most of them are set in small towns. The next one I have here is The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hildebrand. This one is set in Nantucket, which is a small town. It's centered around a Nantucket wedding, and so this is definitely an option. I haven't read this one, but I've heard good things about this author, and I think that she kind of specializes in like small town romances. And lastly, I'm going to do The In-Between by Rebecca K.S. Ansari. Again, this is an urban setting, but the town they lived in was a very small, secluded town. They have like very minimal options for going out, and it made this creepy middle grade feel even more ominous and spooky. So this one definitely is set in a small town, and I highly recommend it. It was a fantastic middle grade. Up next, we have games and competitions. Now again, this is always one that I struggle with finding books that I want to read because I feel like I don't have a ton of books that have small towns or competitions, so hopefully this is a good option for you if you need some recommendations. But the first one that I'm going to do is Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. This definitely does feature a magical magician competition. I love this book so much, and the second book just recently came out, so if you are looking for a good book to pick up, and it definitely, I feel like this fits like the wintry vibes. I don't know, something about this screams winter to me. I would definitely recommend this one. Up next is one that I've had on my last recommendation for this particular prompt. That is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I still have not read this, but Clint loves this book series so much, and I've heard nothing but good things about the series as a whole, so I'm really excited to get around to this. But it says it in the title, games, so it involves a game of some sort, and I'm really excited to give it a go. Again, one that I've used for a prompt like this before, and that is the Rule 1 series, or the Rule series by Anne Marie Meyer. First one being Rule 1, you can't date the coach's daughter. This involves football, so definitely a sport, a game, so an option for you. And finally, we have the first book in the Throne of Glass series, Throne of Glass. This does feature a competition in the first book, and it definitely veers off the plot from that. But if you haven't started this series just yet, this is a great option to pick it up and have a book that features a competition. And the next prompt that we have here is retellings. I don't read a ton of retellings, but I know that Mel is a huge fan of retellings. I do love them. They're just not something that I gravitate towards, so I'm hoping that these recommendations will help those of you that also don't gravitate towards retellings. The first one that I have here is The Land of Stories, but this is by Chris Colfer. I figured I would pick a middle grade if you want something light and easy, and this is literally a book where this could also be a bookish book, where they fall into the storybooks, fairy tales. So it does have a retelling aspect to it, but it is also a book within a book. So if you want to double up on some prompts, this is definitely an option for you. Up next, we have Neon Gods by Katie Robert. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling that I absolutely loved. So if you are in the mood for a steamy BDSM romance, I highly recommend this one. It was such a fun ride and I loved every second of it. Highly, highly recommend. Up next, we have A Whole New World by Liz Braswell. Any of the Twisted Tale books could work for this, obviously. It is set in the world of whatever fairy tale you're reading about. In this case, it's Aladdin, and the twist on this is what if Aladdin never found the lamp? So definitely an option if you're looking for a short, easy read. These ones are always pretty short and quite quick to fly through, so an option for you. And lastly, my last recommendation is going to be A Curse of Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I'm sure I'm not going to be the only person that recommends this one because this is one of my favorite retellings. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, at least the first book is, and it was so well done. I really enjoyed it. I do love the main characters in this book. This has some representation for cerebral palsy, so definitely a good option if you're looking for a fantasy retelling. Another one of my all-time favorite tropes, and that is fake dating. Ugh. Something about fake dating, it gets me in the soul. Everything about it just works for me, and I definitely have some fantastic recommendations for you. The first one that I'm going to recommend is one that I haven't yet read, but has been all over TikTok, and that is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have literally heard nothing but good things about this one, and I cannot wait to give it a go. This does involve fake dating, as all of these do, so definitely an option for you if you're looking for a good romance. One of my favorite fake dating books, and that is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I could also recommend Red, White, and Royal Blue, but I feel like I recommended that book before in the past, so I wanted to give this one a chance to shine. This is a fantastic fake dating book, LGBTQI+, and I just absolutely die for these characters. They are so cute, and if you're looking for something that's a bit more adult, I would recommend this one. Another one of my favorite fake dating tropes, this one I think takes the cake, and that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. I love these characters. I die for these characters. This is everything that I wanted in a fake dating romance and more, and I cannot wait to reread it. I'm surprised I haven't reread the series just yet, but now that I have the new special edition books, I will definitely have to get around to rereading these, but oh my gosh, one of my favorites, for sure. I'm going to recommend 5 for this one because I usually try to recommend books, 2 books that I've read, 2 books that I haven't. One of the other fake dating books that I haven't read is The Spanish Love Deception, another one that's been all over TikTok. However, I didn't pull this one originally for my recommendations, but since I haven't read this one and I wanted to do my 2 and 2, I'm going to recommend this one. But the one that I was actually going to recommend is Serpent and Dove by Shelby McCurran. This is more of a marriage of convenience. However, I feel like that could also work for fake dating because they kind of had to convince all of these people that they were indeed married. And so it kind of worked out in the fake dating way where they didn't really want to be together and then they ended up falling in love. So definitely an option if you're looking for a fake dating trope, but you don't want to go full on romance. You can definitely do a fantasy romance that has a marriage of convenience. Okay, up next we have Close Quarters. And for me, this gives me the vibes of like you only have one bed trope. One of those recommendations that I can give that I don't own would be The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. But I didn't really have any recommendations on my shelves that I hadn't already recommended. So these ones, I'm kind of stretching the idea of Close Quarters. But one of them could be a mystery. I know that Ruth Ware's One by One book definitely kind of gives you the vibes of Agatha Christie, where they're stuck at this snow retreat in the middle of nowhere and they have nowhere to go. And so this is Close Quarters and it is a murder mystery. So definitely an option if you're looking for something like that. Another option would be The Devil Makes Three, definitely something that I can recommend for a fantasy Close Quarters. This happens in a library, also another bookish book. Definitely an option here, but the 2 main characters don't necessarily like each other, but they're kind of forced together to help solve the mystery of this devil coming out of the books. And so definitely an option for Close Quarters, even though it's not necessarily a full-on romance. Another option would be Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. I love Penelope Douglas and she knows how to write some smut. So if you are looking for a good, ominous, smutty, crazy book, this is definitely veering on the side of her crazy shit. So beware, but this is definitely Close Quarters. The 2 main characters live in the same building and they are constantly running into each other. So definitely an option there. And finally, we have Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. Again, the 2 main characters live in the same place, and so they're constantly running into each other, constantly fighting battles together. And this is definitely also a love triangle, so definitely an option for another trope that we didn't include in this list. But if you're looking for a good love triangle, this is one that I would actually recommend, and I think that it was done really well. Number 10 is Found Family, another one of my favorite tropes. This is one of those tropes that always gets me in the feels and makes me cry. So I do have some recommendations for some books that I've read, and again, some books that I haven't, that I believe have Found Family tropes. The first one that I'm going to recommend is Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire. This is a series of short novellas, and I feel like every time all of the characters come together, they do have this interesting found family type vibes, and even the individual books tend to veer on the side of a found family type situation because they're going into these world where they feel like they belong and they find the people that they feel like family with. And so definitely an option for a found family trope. Up next, we have the king of found families, and that is Rick Riordan, The Lost Hero. I didn't recommend the Percy Jackson series because I've already recommended that one, but this is the next series by him, and I don't remember what the series is called, The Heroes of Olympus. And I feel like all of his books have found family tropes where people are coming together to defeat this big bad, and they end up becoming really, really close. And so I definitely think that this one has a found family trope. One of my favorite books of all time, and definitely includes the found family trope, and that is The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. These characters are kind of like a reluctant found family because nobody trusts anybody, but in the end they trust each other enough to put themselves out on the line to help one another stay alive. And I think this is definitely one of those fan families that really makes an impact by the end, and I really enjoyed this book. And I feel like the quintessential found family that everyone knows and loves, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. These characters just mesh so well and totally fit, and their vibes are just everything that I could have wanted and more. So if you are looking for a good heist story with a fantasy backdrop, definitely recommend Six of Crows for a fan family trope. Our second to last trope that we have here is royalty. Don't ask me why, but I had the hardest time finding books for this trope, even though I have read so many books that include royalty. I just didn't know what I wanted to recommend, but I do have some here for you that I have really enjoyed. The first one that I have here is A Deal with the Elf King. This is by Elise Kova. This is a self-published book that I've heard really good things about. Obviously, there's a king in the title. Royalty, it works. There was just no way that I could make it through this entire video and not recommend Mrs. Sarah J. Maas. So of course, A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's also a retelling, so if you wanted to double up, this entire series does involve royalty of some sort, and I highly, highly, highly recommend the series. If you didn't want to read a fantasy and you wanted to go on the romance route, you can read Prince Charming. This is by Rachel Hawkins. Also, Red, White, and Royal Blue works for this, but definitely an option if you're looking for a book with royalty that is not a fantasy. And finally, I'm going to recommend A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth, a book that I really, really, really enjoyed, and the sequel to this book is coming out very soon, and I'm so excited for it. This does involve royalty, but also it is set on a very intense urban fantasy backdrop, and it was really well done. And the last and final trope that we have here today is animal companions, which is going to tie in our group book, because of course, yes, we have a group book with some live shows, so stay tuned in just a second and I will explain those dates and times. But our group book does have the trope of animal companions, so it works out perfectly for this prompt. However, if you do not want to read the group book, I will give you some recommendations for books with an animal companion as well. So the group book for this time around is going to be Wilder Lore, The Accidental Apprentice by Amanda Foody. This is a middle grade that I've heard really good things about, and I'm really excited to give it a go. Unfortunately, I don't own a copy just yet. I was trying not to buy too many books while in the moving process, so as soon as I am all settled in, I will be buying that book so that I can read it alongside of you guys during the Seasonathon. But since I don't own it, I am going to read a synopsis for you off of Goodreads, just so you have a little bit of an idea of what this is about, and if you are interested in reading it. So it says here, the last thing a Barclay Thorne ever wanted was an adventure. Thankfully, as an apprentice to the town's mushroom farmer, Barclay need only work hard and follow the rules to one day become the head mushroom farmer himself. No danger required. But then Barclay accidentally breaks his town's most sacred rule. Never, ever, ever stray into the woods. For within the woods lurk vicious magical beasts. To Barclay's horror, he faces a fate far worse than being eaten. He unwittingly bonds with the beast and is run out of town by an angry mob. Determined to break his bond and return home, Barclay journeys to find the mysterious town of lore keepers, people who have been bonded with beasts and share their powers. Ooh, this sounds like it's going to be such a cute little middle grade, and I'm hoping that you guys will join us in the process of reading this, and then of course join us for the live show with Amanda Foody. We have a little bit of a different situation for the live shows because it's around Christmas time and Mel is actually going to be on vacation for a good chunk of this readathon. We're actually going to be doing our live shows on January 1st of 2022. So it's going to be on January 1st for the live show with Amanda Foody at 3 p.m. EST on Mel's channel. And then of course we'll be doing an after hours live show with the co-hosts, me, Mel, and Clint, where we get silly and have fun with you guys, and that'll be also on Mel's channel on January 1st at 8 p.m. EST. Before we move on to some more fun and exciting information, let me go ahead and just share with you some animal companion prompts in case you are interested in reading that wonderful middle grade. First up, we have Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This one does have a shadow cat animal companion, which was so witty and fun, and I really enjoyed this one. You could also do Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. This has a phoenix animal companion, so definitely an option here. And finally, we have Among the Beasts and Briars by Ashley Poston. This has a fox and I think a bear animal companion, so another good option if you're looking for a short fantasy. Just when you thought that was all, of course not. We are adding some more fun and exciting information for this readathon. And y'all, we are so excited for this. For this time's Seasonathon, for Merry Bookmas, we are going to be doing a Christmas watch along where we're going to come together as a group and watch some fun Christmas movies for 2 days. It's going to be the first weekend of the month, December 4th and 5th, and we are going to be starting the watch along at 3 p.m. EST. So if you need a time conversion, make sure to look that up because we are going to be starting the first movie at around 3 o'clock EST. And basically the only information that you need for this is that you need to have your own Netflix account in order to watch along. Every single person that joins in on the watch along has to have a Netflix account, and we are going to be using the Chrome extension Screener. So basically all you have to do is look up Screener, download the Chrome extension, and log into your Netflix account. And we'll provide you with a few links down below in the description box below where you can join in and watch the movies alongside us. We will have the power to pause the movie and chat along with you guys, but there is also going to be a video chat where you can see our faces as well as a live chat where you can chat about the movie down in the comments below. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to do this. We did test this out last month with a few individuals, and it was just so fun to be able to watch a movie and feel like you were at like this movie theater with a bunch of your friends. It was just so fun. So I believe that for both days we're going to be doing 3 movies back to back, so you can jump in and join at any time and hang out with us and watch some fun Christmas movies. We don't have a full roster of what we're watching just yet, but if you have any recommendations for movies on Netflix that you think would be good to watch, let us know because I'm still looking for some good ones. I have my eyes out for ones that I really want to watch, so let me know about that. But again, those instructions for the watch along is to download the Chrome extension, click on the link and log into your Netflix account, and it'll allow you to join us and watch the movies. And again, a reminder for the live shows, it is going to be on Mel's channel, both live shows, one at 3 p.m. EST with Amanda Foodie, and then one at 8 p.m. EST with Mel, Clint, and I, where we will do our drunk live show. If I have missed any information or have missaid anything, I will leave all of the information that you need down in the description box below. Also, make sure that you go check out Mel and Clint's announcement videos as well as their channels, where you can get some more recommendations for books for the prompts. And then, of course, join us for the readathon during the month from December 1st to December 31st. It's going to be such a blast, so much fun, and I cannot wait for you guys to join us. I would love to know any thoughts that you have in regards to your TBRs down in the comments below, and any recommendations for further readathons. Let us know. We would love to hear your thoughts. But that is the end of this very long-winded video. I hope that you enjoyed it and you got some good recommendations for the Seasonathon moving forward. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and of course leave any comments, questions, and suggestions in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Baby, turn it down like a sweet